Hey friends, welcome back to the Special Kind of Motherhood podcast. So we are officially in the holiday season. How are you guys doing? How are you feeling about the holidays? Are you feeling overwhelmed and stressed out? I have been really trying to plan ahead and get Christmas shopping done early, and I'm not going to leave my wrapping until last minute, trying to just really plan ahead to have more joy and more downtime, I guess I would say, during the holiday season. But today I actually want to talk with you about the topic of dealing with our families during the holiday season. A lot of times we end up going to more holiday events. We might see extended family that we don't normally interact with on like a weekly or monthly basis. And this can bring up certain levels of stress. It can bring up some anxiety. There can be difficult situations and dynamics to navigate, especially when it pertains to our children. You may have a child who really struggles with crowded environments, unusual or unfamiliar places, all of those things. And so I'm going to actually kind of go over the next few weeks. We're going to go over a series of dealing with different struggles about the holiday season as a family that has a child that might be neurodivergent. Maybe you have children that have some kind of special need or disability. And how do we handle these different circumstances? Today, we are actually going to focus on family. How do we deal with difficult family dynamics or a child struggling at these events and all of those kind of things? So let's go ahead and get started. Hi friend, do you dream of having a garden but you don't know where to start? Do you want to switch to more natural products but feel overwhelmed by all the options? Do you believe that a holistic lifestyle would help your special needs kiddo but you're daunted by all the information out there? Welcome to the Special Kind of Motherhood podcast, where you will learn how to work towards your dream for homesteading, gardening, and holistic living in small, simple steps that won't overwhelm you. Hi, I'm Ashley. I'm a wife, Jesus follower, and mom to some amazing kids. As some of my kids began experiencing health struggles and developmental delays, I decided it was time to switch to a holistic lifestyle. I quickly became stressed out and burnt out, feeling like I needed to change everything at once. I finally realized that I had to start making one small change at a time, then build from there. I learned to walk this holistic journey in a way that works for me and my family, without stress or overwhelm or constantly feeling like I wasn't doing enough. If you're ready to hear from another mama who understands what it's like to have no time and who can help you make changes towards better health for your family in a way that works for your specific life, then this is the podcast for you. Pop in your earbuds, reheat your coffee for the third time, and let's do this. Hey mama, have you been trying to switch to a more holistic lifestyle but you feel like you need support? Maybe you have a child who is struggling with food allergies or food aversions and different things like that, and you're really wanting a community where you can bounce ideas off of, where you can just find like-minded mamas who understand what it's like to navigate these different challenges, this desire possibly to start a garden when spring comes, or to start some kind of small homestead, or maybe, like I said, you're struggling with food allergies. Maybe you're trying to clean up the chemicals and the harmful products that you feel like you have in your home, but you're also doing this while trying to juggle therapies and different alternatives that you're trying to do to help your child to thrive, give them the best quality of life possible, and you're just really looking for a community to support you along that journey. Well, I have a solution for you. Head over to bit.ly/motherhood community. This is our free Facebook community where we just have a group of like-minded mamas who are going to be able to support and encourage you. I cannot wait to see you there. All right, friends, let's go ahead and dive in. This is just going to give you some ideas of things that I have found to be really helpful for us as we have gone through the years with just coming up against challenges during the holiday season. And so I'm just going to share some tips that I found to be really helpful. The first thing that I want to say, and this I think is probably the most important, is that you actually sit down and make some time to talk with your spouse and get on the same page about what you have, like as far as what are your goals for the holiday season? What do you guys want it to look like? What are some things that are not negotiable for you? They're non-negotiable. So you really want to do this thing, but if this child is struggling with this, you're going to come up with a backup plan for how you can still make that happen, or what you'll do if you go to a family gathering and one of your children is very overstimulated and overwhelmed. How are you going to handle that? I think just taking 30 minutes to talk with your spouse and really plan out together and get on the same page about this stuff can take out a lot of the anxiety that we can feel as these events come up. And the reason why I think a lot of times we feel anxious is because it's this unknown. We don't know what's the environment going to be like. Is someone going to make a comment? Is someone going to be unkind? Is my child going to get overstimulated and then I don't know what to do? It's like we don't really know what's going to happen. And while obviously We can't control the fact that if someone does or doesn't say something, there's no way for us to control that. But we can already discuss with our spouse, okay, if so-and-so makes this kind of comment, how are we going to handle this? What is something that we can say? What do we want to do about this situation? Or if our child seems to be getting overstimulated, overwhelmed, how do we want to handle that? I think just talking it through in advance can be very, very beneficial in calming your anxiety and also helping you to feel as if you are prepared as you go and that you have your spouse is on the same page with you. You have each other's back. You know that if the situation comes up or something gets stressful, you don't even have to sit and have a conversation about it. You know how you're going to handle it. Or hey, if our child's struggling and they get to this level, like we take them to a quiet place and it doesn't help, then we're just going to leave. And I just think that having that beforehand is very, very beneficial. I also think talking with the people, so like if you're going to have people at your house, that's probably a little bit of a different dynamic because obviously you have more control over what your child does and doesn't do at your home. You probably have more resources for them. If they seem to be struggling, they can go to their own bedroom if they're really getting overwhelmed, all of those things. But if you're going to someone's house, maybe even just talking with them and just saying, hey, my child really struggles a lot of times in loud environments. And so I just wanted to let you know they might struggle, which is totally fine. I've got a plan to handle it. But if you see us sneak away, we don't mean anything rude by it. It's just we have to give him some downtime or we have to give her some space. Whatever it is that you need to do. I think just being intentional about making a plan and then also communicating to those that you feel you need to communicate to. I'm not saying you have to over-explain or that you have to feel like you have to basically justify why you're choosing to do something. That's not at all what I mean. But if you feel like having a conversation with someone beforehand would help you before you go, I think being intentional about doing that is extremely beneficial. And on that note, I would also say, and this kind of ties into what I had said before, which is I would set boundaries. So what are things that you're not okay with? Are you not okay with someone treating your child a certain way? Are you not okay with someone making some kind of comment? Being critical of the way you parent your child, being critical of the decisions you make for your child. Okay, well, if you're not okay with that, decide beforehand, how do you want to handle that? And I think having healthy boundaries that you set in a kind and loving manner is very, very important. And I also think whenever we can already be very stressed out and kind of in that anxiety place because of the holidays and because we're out of our routine and because we're not sure how our child is going to do, we can tend to be a little bit more defensive and then overreact. And so what I have found for me to be very beneficial is to already know, kind of have a few key phrases and key responses that I feel good while I'm in a calm state, that I feel good about saying if someone happens to be critical, if someone happens to make a comment, if whatever, you can go down the list, whatever it is for your specific dynamic. And I just have found that it just helps me again to be feeling more prepared, but then also I can talk it through with my husband and say, okay, so are we comfortable with this? Are we not comfortable with that? How do you feel about it? This is how I feel about it. Let's meet in the middle on this and let's come up with a plan and move forward. Setting boundaries as far as we've had times where a child was really struggling and it just was not going to work for us to take that child to an event that had lots of people in a smaller area. And so we decided, okay, I'll keep that child at home and you can go with our other kids. And we've done that before. And it's just having to set a boundary. It's like, I know my child and I know that right now this is not going to be good and it's not going to be enjoyable for them or enjoyable for anyone else if they're getting very overwhelmed and overstimulated. And so unapologetically saying, hey, this is what works best for our kids. And of course, yes, communicating it with kindness, explaining why. I'm not saying to have a nasty attitude or to react out of a way of being defensive, but just a very calm spirit of saying, hey, this is just what we need to do. I totally understand you feel disappointed about this, but this is what's best for our child right now, and this is what we feel we need to do. And leave it at that. I think just taking that time to set those boundaries in your mind, talk it through with your spouse, talk it through with anyone else that you need to, and just have a game plan ready to go. And I think, like I said, that deciding in advance how you will handle situations, that has helped me not just with the holidays, but anytime we're trying something new or we're going to environments or events and things like that our children are not necessarily used to. And So it's this element of the unknown. And so I think just having that decision in advance, this is what we're going to do, it just really calms my nerves and it makes me feel prepared and ready to go. Because I don't know about you, but sometimes I will start feeling this feeling of dread, not because I don't want to go to the event or because I don't want to see the people. It's not that at all. It's this feeling of dread of like, okay, how is this going to go? Because I've had times where people, a child was really struggling and people weren't kind, or we went and, I was really feeling insecure in my parenting anyways. And then people started being critical of the way we handle a situation with a child or whatever. And so it can really start to bring up this feeling of dread in you when that has been your experience in the past. And so what I have learned is to really get ahead of the situation helps me to still be able to show up and to actually enjoy myself and feel like my husband has my back. We know what we're okay with. We're on the same page. We both feel good about what we're doing. We're doing the best we can. And that is all that matters at the end of the day. And so I just want to encourage you to really rest in that. And then just remember that taking the time to plan ahead and to communicate is going to help also prevent that feeling of being caught off guard by something. So like someone making a comment or a child getting very upset and then not knowing what to do. Maybe they're very hyperactive and you feel like you're trapped in a room and you can't get out and you don't know what to do with them. It's just going to help you to not have that feeling of being caught off guard, which I also think can kind of start to promote that feeling of dread that we can sometimes get around the holiday seasons when we are just interacting with people who are also interacting with our differently abled child. It can just be a different dynamic, and sometimes it's not an easy dynamic. So I just want to encourage you, just take some time, take 30 minutes to talk with your spouse, talk with anyone else you need to, and just really get a plan. Think this through, get a plan, and then feel confident in knowing that, hey, whatever comes up, we've got this, we can handle this, we know what we're going to do. Is it possible it may make people upset? Maybe people might feel sad because you can't do X, Y, and Z. Absolutely. And it's totally understandable that they may have those feelings. But at the end of the day, you have to do what is best for you and your family, and you know what that is. So anyways, I hope this just gives you some confidence to know that you can still enjoy the holiday season and that you can really just tailor it to whatever it is that you need, what your family needs. And it can be a wonderful time of community, of fellowship with other people. I love the holiday seasons. I love getting together with family, but I have learned it does take some intentionality on my part and some planning ahead. If this has helped you, I would love to hear from you. Come join us over in our free Facebook community, bit.ly/motherhood community, or you can reach out to me on email or on social media. All of that is linked down below in the show notes. And I will see you back next week. We are actually going to talk about helping our children during the holiday season and all of those holiday events. Can't wait to see you then. I hope you guys have a wonderful week.
Hey Mama, I hope you enjoyed today's episode. If so, would you take 30 seconds to share this with a friend who is wanting to live more holistically without the overwhelm? Also, don't forget to head over to Apple Podcasts to leave me a review. It blesses and encourages me to know that this show is helping you. All right, friends, it's time for me to go work in the garden and make some homemade bone broth. I will see you back next week.